For the avoidance of doubt, there are no prizes for guessing who overran their 20-minute time slot the most. Many thanks, James, for putting that presentation together. It's a reasonably long but very well considered answer to finish off the symposium. I've got about 6 minutes to summarize everything that we've heard today. So what I'm going to do to start off with, before I leave you with some final thoughts, is just look at the 6 questions that we've answered. So we started off with our partners, if you remember. We had questions 1 to 3, and they each answered those with, although they say in the US on this slide, which is my mistake, they all answered regional variations of those questions. And we had Ron talking about his experiences with the Afghan National Army. In the question 2, when we were looking at the single development that would further enhance the benefit of ILS in Australia, in his case, was talking about education, but across the workforce, not just people who are doing support analysis or support engineering, across the entire workforce, the people who are on the tools or in the stores. And then we had Peter talking about the sheer scale of conflict that's going on around the globe and the drain on resources, making ILS more and more important going into the modern age. And then we came away from that a little bit, and we spoke to we heard from our local presenters. So looking at question 4 and the link between ILS and developing environmentally sustainable capabilities, we had TDI Vanguard. Now, they took a slightly fresher approach, and to be quite honest, that's why we asked them to speak. So we wanted to start communicating this story in slightly different ways, and they brought their skills to the fore today. And then we moved on to question 5, and we were looking for positive experiences that somebody might share. And we had Steve, who's working for the Norwegian Defence Materiel Agency, come and share some of his experiences under question 5. And then we just finished with James V. Jones, looking into the future. In many ways, it's an easy question to answer, because all of the emerging technologies of today, things like AI, machine learning, I can see in the chat, things like blending the disciplines of technical publications and training into effectively human performance. These are emerging technologies today. So it's a good bet that in 40 years' time, they're going to be mature and delivering benefit. I just want to leave you with a couple of thoughts, if I may. I started off the presentation with this. Now, this is a paraphrase of a quote. Now, the eagle eyes among you might have spotted the actual quote in a document that Ian Mortimer showed during his presentation. And it was an address from General Cheserak during the 1969 US Army Material Organization's ILS Symposium, the first ever one. What he actually said was something along these lines. He was talking about, we'll get onto the shrinking manpower and funds, it's just snuck in there for some reason, but we'll get to that in a minute. I can't see. Can you see that whole phrase? No. Of course, it's gone wrong in the last bit. But he was talking about integrated logistics support. So integrated logistics support being a relatively new name for a function with a long history, most of it unhappy. And he was saying this in 1968. And in that paragraph that you can't see for whatever reason, but I can see on my thing, he talks about ILS being the key to be able to fully utilize our capabilities in a world of shrinking manpower and shrinking funds. So I guess the point today is that everyone in this room, we all understand that ILS is often the answer. It's often the answer to getting the right through life cost, to achieving the availability that we need from our capabilities. My question for you in the audience is, how do we communicate that to the people that don't necessarily understand and aren't on site? Because you're a community of ILS people. We're part of that community. How do we bring everyone else in? I did offer anyone to bring an ILS skeptic along. I didn't see any in the audience, at least they didn't identify as ILS skeptic. Maybe they weren't brave enough because there's too many of us around. But how do we take this message out, and how do we keep talking? And I'd be really interested to understand your thoughts, maybe ideas for other communications platforms, things that we can do to get this message out to people that need it. For now, though, I want to thank our contributors, Ian, Peter, Ron, TDI Vanguard, Steve, and James V. Jones. And I want to thank you you, the audience, for sticking through our technical difficulties and for contributing through the chat and through raising your questions. We will answer them as and when we can if we haven't answered them during the session. For now, we're signing off. Thank you very much for attending. We'll catch up with you all again soon. Cheers.